I was sitting alone on the edge of the couch, staring blankly at the television, though I wasn't really watching anything. The room was quiet except for the faint hum of the fan and the ticking of the old wall clock. My hands trembled slightly, and I didn't even realize it until she sat down beside me. My stepdaughter Lily, just 12 years old, looked up at me with those big, curious eyes and softly asked, "Why are you shaking?" Her voice cut through the silence like a whisper in the middle of a storm. I turned to her, caught off guard, and quickly tried to steady my hands, as if I could hide whatever was happening inside me. But she had already seen it. That one question, so simple yet filled with concern, opened a door I had kept locked for years. I forced a smile, but she didn't smile back. She just kept looking at me like she knew something wasn't right. And the truth is, it wasn't. Lily wasn't just any stepdaughter. She had come into my life at a time when everything was falling apart. After marrying her mother, Sarah, I promised myself I'd be more than just a figure in the background. I wanted to be there for Lily, to earn her trust, to be someone she could count on. First, it was awkward, like walking on thin ice. But slowly she started opening up. She'd talk to me about school, her favorite books, even her dreams. And I listened because in a way she reminded me of something I had lost a long time ago. But that night something was different. My hands shook not because I was cold or tired, but because of something I had seen earlier. Something I couldn't explain. It had been quiet when I came back home, too quiet. I thought I'd heard whispers in the hallway. A shadow moved just out of the corner of my eye. I dismissed it as stress, until I saw it again just behind Lily's bedroom door. A dark shape that vanished when I approached. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. I didn't want to scare her or Sarah. I thought maybe I was imagining things. Until Lily looked at me that night and asked that one question. "Why are you shaking?" I didn't have an answer. Or maybe I was too afraid to say it out loud. What would she think if I told her what I saw? Would she believe me? Or worse, did she already know? There was something in her eyes that night. Not fear. Not confusion. It was something else. Like she had been waiting for me to notice. Like she had seen it too. And just as I was about to ask her if something was bothering her, she leaned closer, lowered her voice, and said something that made my blood run cold. But I'll tell you what she said in the next part of this story. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. She leaned in so close I could feel her breath on my arm, and with a quiet, serious tone Lily whispered, "I see it too." My heart skipped. For a second I didn't even move. I just looked at her, searching her face to see if she was joking, playing some strange game. But there was no smile, no trace of humor. Just that steady, knowing stare. My mouth went dry. I asked her, "What do you mean?" But she didn't answer right away. She looked toward the hallway, the same hallway I had passed through earlier, the same one where I thought I saw that dark figure. Lily finally spoke, just above a whisper. "It's been watching us." I froze. I wanted to tell her to stop, to go to bed, that she was imagining things. But how could I, when I had seen something too? I glanced at the hallway, suddenly aware of every shadow in the room. The light from the TV flickered across the walls, casting odd shapes that seemed to move even when everything was still. Lily sat stiff beside me, her small hands clenched in her lap. She was scared, but she wasn't making it up. That much I could tell. I asked her gently, "How long have you seen it?" She looked down. "Since after Mom brought the box home." That caught my attention. "What box?" "A few weeks ago," she said. "From that old store in the market. Mom said it was an antique. She put it in the attic." After that, things started happening. I sat back slowly, trying to make sense of it. Sarah had mentioned buying something from a local antique shop. A wooden box she said looked charming. I hadn't paid much attention. Just another decoration, I thought. But I hadn't been to the attic in weeks. Lily continued. "At night I hear footsteps. Sometimes scratching. At first I thought it was mice or something, but then I saw it. A shadow. It just stands there. It doesn't move, but I know it sees me." I rubbed my hands together, still trying to stop the shaking. This wasn't just about me anymore. Lily had seen something too. And now it was clear she had been dealing with it alone. I felt a mix of guilt and fear. Had I been so distracted that I missed what was right in front of me? My job had been stressful lately. I was working late, often too tired to ask how her day had gone. Sarah had been away more for work, leaving Lily and me at home most evenings. I thought we were managing fine. I thought I was doing a good job holding it together. But now I wasn't so sure. I asked Lily, "Why didn't you tell me before?" She looked at me, her voice barely audible. "Because it listens." The room felt colder suddenly. Before I could say another word, we both jumped as something upstairs creaked loudly. Slow, deliberate, like a footstep on the wooden floor. Lily grabbed my hand tightly. And that's when I realized we weren't alone in the house. The creaking sound above us didn't stop. It was followed by another, heavier this time, like someone slowly shifting their weight from one foot to the other. Lily's grip on my hand tightened, and I could feel her small fingers trembling. My eyes went to the ceiling and I held my breath, waiting to hear it again. When the sound came a third time, it was closer to the stairs. I stood up slowly, motioning for Lily to stay where she was. "Don't move," I whispered. "I'll check." She shook her head fast. "No, please don't go up there alone." I paused. A part of me wanted to be brave for her, to push through the fear and prove this was all just some trick of the mind, maybe the house settling, maybe an animal that got in. But deep down I didn't believe that anymore. Not after what Lily had told me. Not after what I had seen. Still, I had to know. I moved quietly to the bottom of the staircase. The house was old, and the steps creaked under the slightest pressure. I could barely see the top. It was pitch black beyond the second-floor landing. I turned on the hall light, but it flickered for a moment before going completely out. I felt the chill run through me again. Just then Lily called out from behind, "It doesn't like the light." I turned to her, confused. "What do you mean?" "I tried once," she said. "With a flashlight. It got angry." My skin prickled with goosebumps. Before I could respond, the sound of a door creaking open upstairs echoed through the house. It was slow, drawn out, as if someone wanted us to hear. Then silence. I backed away from the stairs and returned to the living room. Lily looked at me, scared but calm, like she had been preparing for this moment for a long time. We sat there in silence until I finally asked, "What's inside that box?" She looked down again. "I don't know. But ever since it came, things feel different. Sometimes I see things in the mirror. Sometimes it moves my toys. One night I woke up and it was sitting at the end of my bed. Just watching." My heart was pounding now. The more she spoke, the more the puzzle started to form. Sarah's sudden migraines, the cold air in certain corners of the house, the way our dog had started barking at empty spaces just before he ran away. All of it connected. And somehow it led back to that box. I needed to talk to Sarah. She hadn't mentioned anything strange to me. Maybe she didn't notice, or maybe she knew more than she let on. Just then my phone buzzed on the table. A message from Sarah. "Don't open the attic. No matter what you hear." My hands went cold. I looked at Lily. She looked back at me, her eyes wide. Something was already coming down the stairs. The sound of the steps was slow and steady, one creak at a time, like it wasn't in a hurry, like it knew we were listening. I didn't move. Lily clutched my hand tighter, and I could feel the sweat on her palm. The light from the TV was the only thing keeping the room from falling into complete darkness. I reached for my phone again, staring at Sarah's message. Asterisk, "Don't open the attic. No matter what you hear." Asterisk, my heart pounded so loudly it felt like the sound would give us away. I wanted to call Sarah. I wanted to ask her what was going on, what she meant, why she never told me. But my hands were shaking too much. I couldn't focus. Another step echoed. Then silence. I leaned toward Lily and whispered, "Go to your room, lock the door. Don't open it unless I say so." She shook her head. "It won't help." The confidence in her voice made my chest tighten. This wasn't just fear talking. This was experience. She had been living with this, seeing it, feeling it long before I ever noticed. I forced a deep breath and stood up slowly. I walked to the hall, flicked the light switch again, but it stayed dead. The house was quiet now, like it was holding its breath. The kind of silence that isn't really empty, but full, like something was waiting. I took one step onto the stairs. Then another. Each creak beneath my foot felt like a warning. Halfway up I stopped. The air grew colder, like I had stepped into a space the house itself didn't want me in. Then I heard it, barely a whisper, but I swear it said my name. I turned fast. No one was there. Just the shadows. Lily stood below, watching, not saying a word. Her eyes were fixed on the top of the stairs. When I reached the landing, I glanced toward the attic door. It was slightly open, just an inch, enough to see the edge of something dark beyond it. I should have gone back. I should have waited for Sarah. But I needed to know. I pushed the attic door open. It let out a long, slow groan. The stairs leading up were narrow and steep. The attic was pitch black. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the dark, weak and flickering. The first thing I saw was the wooden box. It sat in the middle of the attic floor, almost too perfectly placed, like someone had left it there on purpose. My flashlight flickered again, and that's when I saw it. A shadow at the back of the attic, tall and still, as if it had been waiting for me. It didn't move. Not yet. I took one step forward. And then the attic door slammed shut behind me. Downstairs I heard Lily scream. Everything went dark. The attic was sealed shut. I threw my shoulder against the door, but it didn't budge. It was like something was holding it from the outside. The flashlight on my phone flickered one last time and died, plunging me into complete darkness. I stood frozen, my breath shallow, trying to make out shapes in the pitch black. But the shadow I saw earlier, it was gone. Or at least I couldn't see it anymore. Then I heard it again. A voice. Not loud but close. It whispered something I couldn't understand, like it was speaking through water or wind. My heart pounded as I fumbled to turn my phone back on, to get even a sliver of light. Nothing. Total blackness. Downstairs I heard Lily scream again. Her voice was sharp, panicked. And then silence. I didn't think. I dropped to my knees and started crawling toward where I remembered the box had been. I could barely feel the wooden floor beneath my palms, but I knew it was close. That box. Whatever it was connected to all of this. Lily. The shadow. Even Sarah's strange message. My fingers finally touched the box. Cold, solid, heavy. It felt older than it looked, like the kind of thing that should have stayed buried. And then I heard the attic floorboards creak behind me. Something else was up there. I turned slowly, not sure what I expected to see. But instead of a shadow, I saw a faint glow. It wasn't coming from my phone, it was the box. It had begun to hum, a low vibration I could feel through my fingertips. Then it lit up from within, pale and flickering like a candle trapped inside. I knew I should leave it alone. I should wait. But something told me this thing didn't want to wait anymore. Just as I was about to open it, I heard footsteps again, this time coming up the stairs. Not the attic steps. The stairs from the first floor. Someone was coming. I banged on the attic door. Lily. No answer. I called again. Sarah? Are you home? Still nothing. The footsteps stopped outside the attic. I held my breath. Then I heard a voice. It was Sarah. But something about her tone was wrong. It was her voice, but there was no emotion. No panic. Just a flat, slow voice calling my name. Daniel, let it out. My blood ran cold. She spoke again, this time louder. It needs to come out now. I didn't know what to believe anymore. Why was Sarah telling me this? Did she bring the box home knowing what it would do? Did she know what was inside? And just then the box began to shake violently, the humming growing louder, almost like it was alive. I stepped back, heart racing. Then a loud crack split through the attic, wood splintering, as if the floor beneath me was giving way. And the glow from the box? It started pouring out like smoke, rising, twisting, forming something with eyes. But I still hadn't seen the worst part yet. The smoke rising from the box curled in the air like it had a mind of its own. It formed slow, stretching shapes, arms, a head, long fingers that reached into the dark. The attic was filled with the sound of whispering now, not from one voice but many, overlapping in a language I didn't understand. I backed away as far as I could, my back pressing into the attic wall. Whatever was coming out of that box, it wasn't human. And then I saw its face. Pale. Hollow. Its eyes looked like deep, endless wells. But it didn't charge. It didn't attack. It just hovered there, staring. Watching. The attic door suddenly burst open. A flood of warm light spilled in. It was Sarah standing there, out of breath and wild-eyed. You opened it? She shouted. I looked at her, desperate for answers. What is this thing? She didn't answer right away. She stepped inside slowly, cautiously, her eyes never leaving the smoke-formed creature. It's not a ghost, she said. It's a memory. Trapped. Bound to that box. I didn't think it would wake up unless someone disturbed it. I looked at her in disbelief. You brought this into our home. I didn't know it would latch onto Lily, she said, her voice cracking. I thought it would stay dormant. That's what the seller told me. The creature twitched. The shape grew more solid, more real. The attic began to shake again. Lily appeared behind Sarah, her face pale, her eyes wide. It talks to me in my dreams, she whispered. It wants to stay. It says I remind it of someone. Sarah stepped closer to the box. It's clinging to our pain, she said. To our fear. Feeds on it. That's how it survives. But if we stop giving it that. Before she could finish, the creature lunged at her. A rush of black smoke wrapped around her like a whirlwind. She screamed, falling to her knees. Without thinking, I grabbed the box and turned it over. There was a symbol carved into the bottom. I pressed my fingers into it, desperate for something, anything. The creature turned to me, hissing with a sound that felt like it tore through my bones. Lily screamed, "Don't let it take her." And then I remembered what Sarah said. Asterisk, it feeds on fear. Asterisk, I closed my eyes, focused on something else. I thought of Lily's laughter, the night we built her science project, her silly jokes. I blocked out the fear. I blocked out everything but her voice calling me Dad for the first time. The smoke began to weaken. The creature flailed, shrinking, the box glowing once more. Sarah, still on the floor, reached out and gripped my hand. Now, she said. Close it. I slammed the box shut. The whispers stopped. The air stilled. We were quiet for a long moment. The attic felt normal again. Lily rushed in and wrapped her arms around me. Sarah sat up, shaken but breathing. Then, just when we thought it was over, the box clicked. It locked itself. But none of us had touched the latch. The click echoed through the attic like the final word in a conversation no one wanted to finish. I stared at the box, still glowing faintly around the edges, but the light was fading. Sarah knelt beside it, breathing hard, her hand resting on her knee. Lily was still holding me tight, her head pressed against my side. None of us spoke right away. The silence for once felt peaceful. I helped Sarah to her feet, and we all slowly made our way downstairs, leaving the box exactly where it was. None of us wanted to carry it again. We closed the attic door behind us and didn't look back. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat on the couch again, the same spot where Lily had first asked me why I was shaking. But now there was a calm in the air. The tension that had haunted the house was gone. No more whispers. No more shadows. Just the low hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen and the occasional creak of the old wood settling, like a house finally resting after holding its breath too long. Sarah sat beside me, her eyes tired. I should have told you everything from the beginning, she said. When I brought that box home, I thought it was just a strange antique. I didn't realize it was cursed, or connected to something deeper. I nodded slowly. Why did it lock itself? She shrugged. I don't know. But maybe it knew we were done feeding it. Maybe it can't survive without pain. Lily joined us a few minutes later, wrapped in her favorite blanket, and sat quietly between us. She didn't seem scared anymore, just thoughtful. I think it was lonely, she said softly. That's why it stayed. That's why it needed us. Her words stayed with me. It was strange, but maybe she was right. Maybe the presence in that box wasn't pure evil. Maybe it was a leftover memory of someone who had once been real. Someone who had lost everything and didn't know how to let go. We agreed to leave the box untouched. We didn't call the police or experts. It didn't feel like something that needed to be explained anymore. We didn't want to invite anyone else into it. We just sealed the attic and placed a heavy lock on the door. The house finally felt like ours again. Over the next few weeks, Lily laughed more. She slept through the night. Even the shadows seemed softer. I started working less and spending more time with her, doing puzzles, reading stories, just listening. Our bond felt stronger. And sometimes when I'd look at her from across the room, I'd remember that moment she leaned in and asked, "Why are you shaking?" Now I smile. Because I'm not. We faced something dark together, and we came out the other side stronger. Not because we fought it with fear, but because we found strength in each other. In trust. In family. The box remains in the attic untouched. And every now and then when the house is completely still, I swear I hear it breathing. But it's locked. And we've moved on.